Salvo. Welcome to Gracey's Pizza. That dodged back straight into it. Let's try it again. Hello Salvo, this is Gracey's. Come on in. We've had the shop about 3 years now, so we took it in, it was about February 2021. And so we tried to work with what we had here. So the floor was all original. With the walls we painted in this kind of like lime wash stuff. And with the artwork, we actually used to go to like a vintage flea market down on one of the Kempton racetrack or something on a Sunday. There's an old French guy that sells these old jazz posters. So we went down and bought a load of the posters from him, framed them up. So Gracey's really started when me and Grace moved to St Albans. So we lived in London prior to that, and we sort of lived in flats. We never had a garden. So when we moved to St Albans, we had a garden, and I was making pizza a lot at home. And I'd kind of always done that. Actually, when I first met Grace, like one of the first times when we first were like dating, I actually made pizza for a birthday party at her house with loads of people, with like 20 people. It's quite funny because they thought that she'd hired me in like as a pizza guy, and they were like, oh no, that's like Grace's friend, you know, like a couple of pizza boxes from our trips to New Haven that we've done. So yeah, this is obviously the legendary Sally's pizza box, which is like a massive influence to us when we opened this shop. That's the Zapardi's one. I really like the design of this one and like the way the type sort of bends like that. It's just like the layouts of these designs are so cool. You know, at that stage, Grace was kind of, you know, she'd show an interest in it, but I wouldn't say she wasn't as sort of ecstatic about it as I was. And I remember trying to convince her a lot, like to make, you know, let's make pizza again tonight. And she'd be like, oh, I don't want pizza again, you know. We built this counter, this is like oak veneer, and we wanted a curved counter, so we had to like figure out a way to bend the oak, and which involves like cutting hundreds of little grooves in the back of it so you can bend it. And then the trick is that it doesn't split, which we got there with it. I mean, the point that it turned into a business was, I guess, lots of other people at that time were doing pop-ups. Pubs and things were closed, right? Because they didn't, you know, and so there was kitchens that were just not being used. One night a week doing a pizza pop-up and stuff, and I wasn't really getting much back from that. So I kind of just thought, I think I chatted to my stepdad about it all, and he was like, well, why don't you just do it like, he's got a business down the road. He said, why don't you just do it in the car park here? And so we sort of looked into like, is that legal? Is that, you know, it's on private land? What do you need to get up and running? And we got our license through from the council. We got the hygiene thing all sorted, and it was like really a case of just, we bought a gazebo and just set up and started selling pizza from this like car park, which was next to a car wash. It just was a case of like, we're in now, let's start building it. A bit more tomato sauce. So the style of Gracey's Pizza, I'll be honest, I think when we took the shop, we weren't that hung up about pizza styles. Our head was like, we want to make a really good product. It wasn't that we weren't unaware of other styles, but we weren't getting too bogged down in that yet. It wasn't like we were like, oh, let's make it look like this, or let's make it look like a New Haven, or let's make it, you know, we were just like, it needs to look like what a Gracey's Pizza looks like. We didn't want to put a label on it. Well, for me personally, I didn't want to put labels on what I was doing, because I didn't want it to be so rigid and narrow, and you know, it's like, well, what if we decide we want to try and do a different style at some point, you know? Why do you have to be fixed on doing one style of pizza? That's just a bit boring to me. This is the thing with pizza styles, everyone gets a bit like caught up in it, and you know, just based on how it looks, because Instagram's such a big thing now. It's like, oh, that's that style because it looks like that, but it's like, until you hold it up with your hand, until you bite into it, and what it sounds like when you fold it, what it, you know, texturally, structurally, all of that thing. I don't think that, for me, it's like, it's a lot more than just what it looks like. It's like, it's everything else that comes with it. Just check that there's no like dry flour at the bottom, and there isn't, so that's good. I'm happy with that. The dough, I would say, is quite a seasonal sort of recipe, so it changes every day, to be honest. We adjust things based on the ambient temperature, based on, you know, what temperature the water is. It is challenging because what it might be in the morning might not be what it is over the evening, and in the evening it dips again. So we have like various thermometers in different points of the shop just to make sure that, and they're like Bluetooth to one of our phones, and we kind of measure like what's happening across the day and the night. We're not trying to build gluten into the dough at this point. All the mixer's really doing is just bringing everything together. I want the yeast to dispersed across the whole dough, so you get a nice even fermentation. If the yeast is like clumped together in one part of the dough, then the dough's not gonna like ferment evenly, you know. We never put the dough in the fridge. It's a direct dough, so it's mixed in the mixer, comes out the mixer, goes into fermentation tubs, and it just has a very long sleep. We won't ball up the dough unless it's had like a minimum of 24 hours in the fermentation tubs. And what we're really looking for is like a really complex gluten structure. That's, you know, it's really going to give you like a light, airy crust, and it's going to make it crispy. So you're going to get that really nice, like sweet bready smell. That's coming from the long bulk fermentation that we've done. We've made our dough. We're going to make a smoky Ron, a Papa Jim, and a New Haven style pizza.
Thanks Salvo for stopping by, and we'll see you soon.